Morning, everyone. Hang tight for another minute here, and we'll see. We might have a couple more people joining us. Reese, what are you listening to?
Honestly, I'm practicing my FFE music on my fingers.
Okay, well, that works too. I wish I had that kind of talent. Like, I tried to take piano lessons when I was a kid.
I play drums, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom used to play the organ for church. Like, we had this big organ in our house. Like, every Saturday morning, like, I remember her practicing for church the next day. And like, it had like the 2 levels of keyboards and everything.
Yeah.
And she had like the foot pedals where you're playing like different low notes. And I can do like chopsticks.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't get either how percussionists can have like both hands doing something and both feet doing something all at different times.
A lot of coordination.
Yeah, that's not me at all.
And it's definitely that's the thing I struggled with the most when I started.
I'm sure.
My arms and legs couldn't do 2 different things.
I couldn't either.
And I still kind of can't.
Yeah, I don't. That amazes me when people can do that and like keep different rhythms on different. I don't know. Whew. That's intense.
It's weird.
So more power to you if you can do that. Good job. All right, I think we have everybody in. How is everyone today? We made it to Friday, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
I mean, the first 4 months of online school have been pretty good. Oh wait, it's been 4 days.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, I'm so excited about potentially sleeping in tomorrow. Like, I think I'm gonna have to bribe my children. Well, really my 5-year-old to sleep in. Like, I got to figure out what I can do to bribe him. And even if he wakes up, just to lay there quietly. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I'm working on it. I'm formulating a plan. All right. So today, oops, I almost shut us all down here. Okay, so today, well, yesterday you finished up by working on that translation, on those translations. I'll be honest, I have not looked at it yet, but I'll try to get through them this weekend. Any questions at this point from yesterday? Okay, if you do, let me know. Today, we're going to look at reflections. And just like yesterday, I posted the notes and everything in Google Classroom. So I'm going to share my screen with you. All right. So if you remember from yesterday, we talked about a reflection is sometimes called a flip, right? So it flips a shape over a line of symmetry. And when you do that, it creates what's called usually a mirror image. Okay, so we're going to look at 6 different reflections today. So there's a lot to go with reflections. Now, some of these, I'm going to tell you, you should probably memorize the rule. Others, I'm going to tell you, you should probably think about it logically. Okay, so quick reminder, don't forget that A versus A prime. A means that's where we start. That's our pre-image. A prime is the image, right? So this is after it's been reflected. So these 2 here are probably some of the most common, over the x-axis and over the y-axis. So if I want to take a point and flip it over the x-axis, notice right now it is 2 steps away from the x-axis. If I'm going to reflect it, it needs to go 2 steps the other direction, right? Because that's called the mirror image there. So there is a coordinate rule. It says x is going to stay the same and y is going to have the opposite sign. But I don't feel like you need to memorize this because I feel like logic is way easier. I know if I'm at +2, when I flip it over the x-axis, it's going to become -2. So I'm keeping my x because I'm not moving left and right, right? The only thing that's changing is my up and down. So I'm keeping my x value, and then my y value is just going to become the opposite sign. So if it was up at 4, it would go down to -4. All right, then we have the y-axis. All right, so if I'm flipping over the y-axis, it's the same idea, right? If I was one step away, then I'm going to become one step away here. So I'm not changing up and down. So my y is going to stay the same. What's changing are my x values, and it's just going to be the opposite sign. If it was at -1, it's going to be at +1. If it was at -4, it become +4. All right, so that's reflecting over the x-axis and the y-axis. Again, I don't know that you really need to memorize those rules. They are there if you need them, but I sometimes think it's easier to logic your way through that. All right, the next two popular ones are if we were to reflect over the line y equals x. So think about what that looks like, right? That means my slope is 1, my y-intercept is 0. So it's going through the origins, going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and so on. Okay, so what's happening is it's kind of reflecting almost diagonally here. What happens is, think about y is equivalent to x, which means they are interchangeable. So what happens here is we start with xy, it maps to yx. So if I started with a point 2, -7, it's going to map to, I just flip-flop their locations, -7, 2. Okay. I also have the line y equals -x. Okay, so this time my slope is a -1. Okay, what happens here is that, again, they're going to switch places because they're somewhat interchangeable, but because we have the negative sign, we need the opposite of y and the opposite of x. So if I had the point -2, 5, okay, not only are they going to change places, but they're going to have the opposite signs. So it's going to map to -5, +2. Any questions on those four? Yeah, Avery, they are. I think it's number 35. I think it's number 35. Okay, so I want to practice, no, what I want you to do is I want you to practice. So if you go to Delta Math, okay, we're going to come back to these last two in a minute here. If you go to Delta Math, there is a practice in there. I think it's called number 35. Let me double check. Yep, 035. So the reflection quick check. Okay, there are 10 of them there because you have 4 different reflections. And so I gave you 10 to practice. Okay, so go ahead. I want you to take a couple minutes and work on that. Don't leave though. Stay in the classroom. If you're having trouble, let me know. Couple of people are just finishing up, so hang tight, guys.
Sorry, my internet's like really bad. It's just taking forever to load for questions and everything.
That's fine. Just do your best. We're having some people with some internet issues, guys, so hang tight. I just want to make sure that we're okay before we move on. All right, we're gonna go ahead and go forward. If you're not done, I think everyone who's not done is just having internet issues, and it might work better once we're off of Zoom. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move forward. So if you didn't finish, you can work on that maybe after we're off of Zoom, and it'll work better for you. Sorry you're struggling, guys. Okay, so now I want to talk about what happens if we are reflecting over either a vertical line or a horizontal line. Okay, so keep in mind, if we have a vertical line, it's going to be x equals a constant number. X equals 2, x equals -3, right? It's a vertical line. If we're reflecting over a vertical line, there's no rule that you can use. It's more about logic. So again, we're starting at A, and I notice I am one step from that line. So then I have to reflect it and go one step away from the line. So this is where a lot of times you need to graph it or just sketch it. So you can kind of visualize where that line of symmetry is, and you can count for it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it was at 5, 2, right? And it ended up, once I reflect it, it becomes 3, 2. The same thing is true if you have a y equals a number. So remember, y equals a number is a horizontal line. Y equals a constant, I should say, is a horizontal line. So this is the line y equals -3. So right now, A is 2 steps below that line, which means I need to go 2 steps above that line. So it started out at, oh gosh, I need some glasses, -1, -5, right? And now it is at -1, -1. So there, the y value is the only thing that changed. Okay, I put another example on the next page of the notes. I gave you a couple more examples of what you just did in Delta Math. And then I gave you 2 more examples here. Like, just again, it's all about counting, to be honest. It's all about being able to visualize where that horizontal or vertical line is, and then be able to count it. All right, so what you're gonna do today, your homework, I created a maze. I'm gonna pull it up here so you can see what it looks like. Sorry, I meant to have it pulled up. All right, so I have a maze here, and if you need to zoom in on it, and it might take a second for the graphs to load, okay? So be patient. There's a graph in, there's like 16 graphs on there, so it takes a second to load. But each one of these, you're gonna start at start, okay? And it says reflect over y equals x. So right now, my point is at 3, -2. So if it's at y equals -x, if I reflect over that, that means I just need to flip-flop my coordinates, right? So it's 3, -2. I'm going to flip-flop it. It's going to become -2, 3. So in the box below it, I have it kind of outlined. We're going to have, I don't remember what I just said, -2. And then we're going to put a comma, no space, 3, and close your parentheses. If you're correct, the path to the next problem will be highlighted for you. Okay, when you're finished, the word finished will pop up. Okay, so there's all sorts in here. There's every variety that we've had. So there's the y equals x, the y equals -x, over the x-axis, over the y-axis, and then over horizontal and vertical lines. Questions on reflecting or the maze, any of that at this point? Okay, so my only reminder is make sure you don't put a space in between your comma and your next number. Otherwise, it'll count it wrong. It won't recognize it. Okay? All right, so you're welcome to stay on and work. You're welcome to get off and work, but that is due by Monday morning. But get it done now. That way you don't have any homework this weekend. At least not from me. Can't control the other classes, right?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Hang tight, guys. Have a good weekend.
See you, Ms. Malunga. Have a good
Thank
weekend.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks. See you guys.
Drop boxes, Miss Winka, are the
Yes.
drop boxes, like, when are those going to be out?
It's out there right now.
Okay, and how late are you keeping this out?